and 3. Copy that.
Zena Cardman reporting back data that she's seeing on her monitors in the cupola. She's alongside Kimiya Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. As the HTV-X moves up the so-called corridor, up the radial vector, now about 147 meters away from the station, closing at a rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second. As the HTV-X moves up the so-called corridor, up the radial vector, now about 147 meters away from the station, closing at a rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second. This is essentially a methodical crawl for the HTV-X up the radial vector, as all of its systems are being carefully evaluated prior to the time that it arrives within very, very close proximity of the station. Essentially a methodical crawl. There will be another hold point at 30 meters to assess its systems before it resumes its approach from the 30-meter hold point to what is called the capture point, about 10 meters away, some 32 feet away from the station. That's the point that a final assessment of the systems will be made before the approval is given for Kimiya Yui in the cupola to begin extending the Canadarm2 robotic arm towards a grapple fixture on HTV-X. Before the approval is given for Kimiya Yui in the cupola to begin extending the Canadarm2 robotic arm towards a grapple fixture on HTV-X.
Station Huntsville, Space to Ground 2 for Johnny and Payload Naz at your convenience.
Well, Johnny 2, how can I help?
Hey, Johnny, we wanted to free you up to watch HTVX capture, so we are ready for you to perform your Payload NAS hard drive reseat whenever you'd like. Additionally, we were able to cut out about 30 minutes from this procedure, so step 1.3.2 in that procedure has you getting a go from us to verify 30 minutes have passed. We have already verified all that we need from that, so you are go to skip that step and move through your procedure. It should only take you about 10 minutes. 1.3.2 in that procedure has you getting a go from us to verify 30 minutes have passed.
I reviewed the procedures and we are on the same wavelength. I was going to ask if I could get that hard drive cooling done early. I understand the big intent behind this. I'm going to reseat the hard drives, which shouldn't take too long. Any more information maybe on the background of what signature you all are seeing on your end? I've got a couple NES at home, so I'm wondering if it will help, depending on what kind of signature you're seeing. Any more information maybe on the background of what signature you all are seeing on your end?
Yeah, so we're trying to correct an issue with one of the hard drives experiencing degradation and illogical ejection. All these hard drives are going to be reseated as a preventative action in case a similar issue is present on the other hard drives that we haven't noticed yet. With one of the hard drives experiencing degradation and illogical ejection.
Do you know which hard drive is the one that's showing an off-nominal signature?
Issue is present on the other hard drives that we haven't noticed yet. Yeah, that's hard drive 3.
Copy. Do you know which hard drive is the one that's showing an off-nominal signature? Okay, so I will go ahead and reseat them all per the procedure. I'm assuming this is a RAID setup, so maybe you might have to, if this doesn't work, replace that hard drive so the parity can be rebuilt. But I guess we can cross that bridge as we get there.
I will pass your words on to someone who is more technically savvy than I am, but we appreciate
replace
that.
that hard drive so the parity can rebuild. But I guess we can cross that bridge if we get there. Please have it help. Thanks for the support. I'll get it knocked out now.
I will pass your words on to someone who is more technically savvy than I am, but we appreciate that.
Go on, dude. Please have it help. Thanks for the support. I'll get it knocked out now.
Changes are the vehicle continuing to trend further starboard. So differences from last time, the light is 1/4 vehicle
forward from the circle, 1/8 vehicle with starboard from the circle. The circle itself is 1/2
so differences from last time.
vehicle with starboard from the center of the
vehicle
corridor and 1/4 vehicle length out.
1/8 vehicle with starboard from the circle. The circle
Copy all.
itself
Good
is
report.
1/2 vehicle with starboard from the center of the corridor and 1/4
Once again,
vehicle
several
length out.
conversations ongoing aboard the station. Johnny Kim of NASA
Copy all.
talking
Good
to
report.
payload controllers at the Payload Operations Control Center at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Once again, several conversations ongoing. And Zena Cardman in the cupola of the International Space Station, along with JAXA astronaut Kimi Ayui, monitoring the slow but steady approach of HTV-X up the radial vector from a point directly below the station. Currently 100 meters separating HTV-X from its grapple point. Monitoring the slow but everything continuing to look good, no concerns. The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control and the HTVX flight director at their control room in Tsukuba, Japan, reporting that all of HTVX's systems are in excellent shape as it continues its very slow but deliberate approach to its final arrival point about 10 meters away from the complex. Systems are in excellent shape as it continues its very slow but deliberate approach to its final arrival point about 10 meters away from the complex. We are in between satellite coverage on our tracking and data relay satellite system. We'll get our downlink television capability from the station's external cameras back here shortly. We are in between just to recap, HTV-X launched from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan atop an H-3 rocket from the station's by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency just to recap, on Saturday night U.S. time, Sunday morning Japan time, atop an H-3 rocket by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. The 3.5-day rendezvous for HTV-X deliberately plotted out to test all of its brand new systems on this new cargo freighter prior to its arrival in close proximity to the station, which occurred very early this morning. Since then, a series of near-field demonstration tests of HTV-X's systems have been conducted, with all of those systems passing muster. HTV-X currently about 80 meters away now from the station, continuing to move to the next hold point at the 30-meter mark. HTV-X currently about 80 meters away now from the station, continuing to move to the next hold point at the 30-meter mark.
Houston Station for Block Bravo.
Granted.
Coming up on 60 meters. Houston Station for Block Monitor 3, the light is within the corridor. Vehicle size matches the outline. The light is now just barely forward of the circle and centered port starboard relative to the circle. The circle is less than 1/4 vehicle width starboard and less than 1/8 vehicle length aft from the center of the corridor. All converging on the center of the corridor.
Relative to the circle. The circle is less than 1/4 vehicle width starboard and less than 1/8 vehicle length aft from the center of the corridor.
Zena Cardman reporting
the
relative position that she is seeing HTVX in as it moves up the corridor for its grapple point. All of that data appears to be in good shape.
Zena Cardman
Some 56 meters now separating HTVX from the station.
HTVX in as it moves up the corridor for its grapple point. All of that data appears to be in good shape. Some 56 meters now separating HTVX from the station.
HTVX and the International Space Station are currently traveling 260 miles just west of HTVX's launch site at the Tanegashima Space Center.
HTVX and the International Space Station are currently traveling 260 miles just west of HTVX's launch site at the Tanegashima Space Center.
And Johnny, we copy on 2. Apologies, I lost KU there. We copy that amber light. We're checking on it, but we'll let you know if we need anything else. And Johnny, we copy on 2. Apologies, I lost KU there. We copy that amber light. We're checking on it, but we'll let you know if we need anything else.
This is Mission Control Houston. HTVX is approaching the 30-meter hold point. Everything continuing to look good on the vehicle as it methodically makes its way from a point directly below the station to a capture point at about the 10-meter mark.
Continuing to look good on the vehicle.
There will be a hold point first at 30 meters to assess the HTVX's systems before it resumes its approach one final time to that capture point
about the 10-meter
for
mark.
For a final assessment before Kimiya Yui uses the station's robotic arm to reach out and grapple the Japanese cargo ship that launched 3.5 days ago from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan.
Kimiya Yui uses the station's robotic arm to reach out and grapple the Japanese cargo ship that launched 3.5 days ago from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan.
Station, no changes to our previous Post-grapple call.
Copy that, Xena, and be advised. So we did recover LiDAR 2, but it faulted again. So we're going to leave. We're going to be in this config for capture. Copy that, Xena, and be advised. So we did recover LiDAR 2, but it faulted again. So we're going to leave. We're going to be in this config for capture.
And that call from Aki Hoshide here in Mission Control to Xena Cardman indicating that one of the two redundant LiDAR navigation sensor systems has been providing some erratic data to the onboard computers that has been evaluated here in Mission Control as well as in the HTV flight control room in Tsukuba, Japan. It is of no concern. We're pressing ahead with the approach of HTVX for its grapple by Yui using the Canadarm2 robotic arm.
HTV flight control room in Tsukuba, Japan. It is of no concern. We're pressing ahead with the approach of HTVX for its grapple by Yui using the Canadarm2 robotic arm.
And we now have confirmation that we have reached the 30-meter hold point.
Station Houston on 2 for HTVX. Confirm a 30-meter hold. Then set up and brief for capture for step 6 and 1.102.
The crew will receive a final briefing now from Mission Control here in Houston.
We can confirm 30-meter hold. Lights on the HTVX command panel match expected, and we will set up for capture per step 6 of 1.102. Confirm 30-meter hold. Lights on the HTVX
this will be about a 15-minute hold.
Match expected, and we will set up
crew on board will be receiving a final briefing on procedures as HTVX traverses the final few meters for its capture.
This will be about a 15-minute hold. The crew on board will be receiving a final briefing on procedures as HTVX traverses the final few meters for its capture.
The HTV flight director in Tsukuba, Japan, reporting that they're happy with all of the vehicle systems. Flight director Fiona Antkowiak is about to take a final poll of her flight controllers here for resumption within 30 meters. And the crew will be receiving a short briefing on final procedures prior to the HTV closing the gap for its capture robotically by Kimiya Yui using the station's robotic arm.
And the crew will be receiving a short briefing on final procedures prior to the HTV closing the gap for its capture robotically by Kimiya Yui using the station's robotic arm.
And a good view of the HTVX, just 30 meters away from the International Space Station, as the two fly in formation over the northeast Pacific, moving from northwest to southeast. This pass will take the two vehicles directly over Baja California a short time from now. HTVX carrying about 4.5 tons of supplies and experiments for the Expedition 73 crew aboard the International Space Station. HTVX holding steady, minutes away from reaching its final destination. And an even closer view of the new cargo vehicle. The HTVX made of two major components, a pressurized module and a service module. The service module contains the propulsion and guidance, navigation, control, communications, and power systems. 26 feet long, 14.5 feet wide, about to join the resupply chain at the International Space Station. And framed against the limb of the Earth, a good view of the HTVX in close proximity to the International Space Station. HTVX.
Station on 2 for HTVX. Per 1.110, step 3.2. Crew is ready for HTVX approach to capture point.
Copy all. Stand by. Station Houston on 2 for HTVX. HTVX is ready to proceed to the capture point. Expect approach to resume shortly.
We're handing over between satellites.
Station Houston on 2 for HTVX. HTVX is ready to proceed to the capture point. Expect approach to resume shortly.
Copies, ready to proceed to capture point, expecting approach to resume shortly.
So with that, Aki Hoshide informing Zena Cardman that the vehicle is ready to resume the final leg of its 3.5 day journey to its capture point, just about 10 meters away from the International Space Station. And the approach command has now been sent. HTVX and space station flying just off the west coast of the United States.
Station Houston on 2 for HTVX. HTVX has begun approach from 30 meters. Monitor per step 7 and 1.102.
Copies, resuming the approach and monitoring per step 7 of 1.102.
The actual capture phase involves Kimiya Yui operating the station's robotic arm from the cupola, backed up by NASA's Zena Cardman. The end effector will move over the grapple pin. It will actually grapple HTVX, but the snares then will have to close, the carriage retracted, and that will mark the official capture time that we'll provide for you as soon as we have that data. HTVX closing in at a very glacial pace, some 28 meters away. "27 meters away.
Station on 2 for Block Bravo. Lights have converged on the center of the circle, and circle has converged on the center of the corridor.
Copy. Good report. Thanks.
This view now from the end effector camera on the station's Canadarm2 robotic arm. 25 meters separating HTVX from the arm. 23 meters now separating HTVX from the International Space Station. Just passing south of Baja, California, moving from northwest to southeast. This is Mission Control Houston. Everything continuing to go very well as HTVX is about to close to within 20 meters of the International Space Station. You can see the Canadarm2 extended, ready to move in under the command of Kimiya Yui, operating from a workstation in the cupola, backed up by NASA's Xena Cardman. That arm will be set in motion once HTVX arrives at about the 10-meter mark. HTVX continues its methodical approach towards the end effector of the station's robotic arm. Now just 17 meters separating HTVX from the capture point. Once HTVX has been grappled, Kimiya Yui and Zena Cardman will hand over the robotic chores to the robotics officer here in Mission Control in Houston, who will spend the next several hours maneuvering HTVX toward the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module for its installation into the common berthing mechanism on that nadir side of Harmony, where HTVX will then be bolted into place. The crew will not be opening the hatch to HTVX until tomorrow morning to begin the process of unloading the start of the cargo operations. Some 4.5 tons of supplies and experiments arriving at the International Space Station. HTVX and the station flying from northwest to southeast over the Pacific Ocean, just off the coast of South America. Now just 14 meters separating the two vehicles. We're about 5 minutes away from arriving at the capture point. One final check of HTVX's systems before the approval is given for Kimiya Yui to begin extending the Canadarm2 toward the grapple fixture. "13 meters now separating HTVX and the station. Everything looking very good. HTVX's systems rock solid. HTVX and the International Space Station flying just off the coast of Peru. And a good view from the end effector camera on the Canadarm2 as you're looking right down the barrel of the grapple fixture that the Canadarm2 will affix itself to here a short time from now. The journey of HTVX that began 3.5 days ago with its launch atop JAXA's H3 rocket from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan about to conclude. Now just 12 meters separating HTVX from the grapple fixture on the International Space Station's Canadarm2.
Station Houston on 2 for HTVX. Confirm capture point hold for step 8 in 1.102.
Houston Station for step 8 of 1.102. We can confirm CP hold.
Houston copies.
This is Mission Control Houston. Aki Hoshide confirming with Zena Cardman that HTVX has reached one final hold point at the 10-meter mark. Now polling the flight controllers for a go, no-go to resume the operations that will involve Kimi Yui extending the Canadarm2 from this 10-meter mark to the grapple fixture on HTVX to complete this rendezvous. HTVX is about to be placed into what is called free drift, inhibiting any further thruster firings so as not to perturbate the operation of the Canadarm2 robotic arm as it moves in to grapple the vehicle.
Station Houston 2 for HTVX. PVGF SEP is enabled. Prepare for capture per step 9 and 1.102.
We see PVGF SEP is enabled, and we are working step 9 of 1.102.
Houston copies.
Houston Station, per step 9, we can confirm command panel LED configuration is good and our capture preparations are confirmed. We are ready for HTVX capture with a preference to wait until the other side of this S-band handover.
Copy. And Houston copies, stand by for capture.
The S-band handover referred to by Zena Cardman is a brief gap in communications voice-wise. We do have solid downlink television capability. So we're just a couple of minutes away from Kimiya Yui beginning the work to extend the Canadarm2 robotic arm for its capture of the Japanese cargo ship that is completing its maiden voyage to the International Space Station. HTVX and the station currently flying over Argentina from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, about to emerge off the east coast of South America over the South Atlantic.
And Station Houston on 2 for HTVX Xena. So that big gap in Optimus, we think that's conservative. It's going to be more like a 4-minute continuation and then a 20-second handover after that.
Okay, copy. That is great information. We can, with your go, start working step 4 of 1.110.
Okay, copy that. Stand by. We're doing the final pull on the ground.
Copy all.
Station Houston on 2 for HTVX. You are go for HTVX capture sequence. Perform step 4 in robotics procedure 1.110. Begin monitoring the backaway cue card.
Copies. We are go for the capture sequence. We will start with step 4 of
And we're in that brief handover in S-band communications. But the approval has been given for Kimiya Yui to begin the work with the Canadarm2 robotic arm to extend it slowly and methodically toward the grapple fixture on the vehicle. And the International Space Station now in free drift. Thrusters disabled. Standing by for arm motion.
Houston Station on 2 for your awareness. We are doing translational alignment and then beginning our approach.
Copy, we're watching.
And the robotics officer reports the arm is now in motion. Four and a half meters. Good view from the end effector camera. Both vehicles are in free drift. 2.5 meters. One meter away, standing by for capture. We have initial capture. This is soft capture. Waiting for snares to close and carriage retract. Things continuing to look good. And we have capture confirmed. Capture confirmed at 10:58 a.m. Central Time, 11:58 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a good handshake between the Canadarm2 and HTV-X. Its arrival at the International Space Station now complete. Capture again confirmed at 10:58 a.m. Central Time, 11:58 a.m. Eastern Time, as HTV-X and the International Space Station flew 260 miles over the South Atlantic.
Houston Station on Space Ground 2, HTV capture complete. Go for HTV-X post-capture reconfiguration action. And I just want to say congratulations to all teams and people involved in this mission. Also, thank you very much for your hard work and support for the first HTV-X mission. This is a historic event in the Japanese space program. Spacecraft is so beautiful and shining, as if it is representing our future, bright future. Thank you again for delivering these important supplies and experiments. I can't wait to open this golden treasure box. 日本の皆さん、HTVX 君が無事に ISS に着きました。このミッションを通じて、日本が高い技術力で国際的な宇宙開発に貢献していることを知っていただいて、日本とですね、そのである皆さんにと誇りを持っていただけたら嬉しいです。明るい希望と未来に通じるこの活動を引き続き応援してください。今日は私にこの大役を任せていただきありがとうございました。Thank you very much.
Copy, capture, complete, and great words, Kimia. Congratulations to you guys, and congratulations to the entire team, to all of those around the world who has contributed towards this successful mission. And special congrats to our friends in Japan who has worked so hard for years in development and training to make this dream come true. HTV-X is the 11th vehicle to visit the ISS. Like its predecessor, HTV, and its legacy, HTV-X will be a key element towards our future in space together, in low Earth orbit and for lunar exploration. Once again, congratulations. 日本の皆さん、HTV-X 初号機の ISS 到着おめでとうございます。先代の HTV コウノトリに新しい技術を加えた HTV-X は ISS をはじめとする地球低軌道、そして月までも含めて人類のさらなる可能性を切り開く大きな鍵になります。引き続き一丸となって新しい未来を切り開いていきましょう。ゆうさん、キャプチャーおめでとうございます。Good job.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。Thank you for your heartwarming warm words. Thank you.
And so that exchange of words between two astronauts representing the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, Kimiya Yui, on board the station, part of Expedition 73, relaying his congratulations to the whole team for a flawless 3.5-day journey of HTVX from its launch pad at the Tanegashima Space Center to its capture just a few minutes ago. Yui operating the Canadarm2 robotic arm to reach out and grapple HTVX. He will hand over those robotic chores to the robotics officer here in Mission Control, who will maneuver HTVX to the Earth-facing common berthing mechanism on the Harmony module for its installation and bolting into place later today. Those words acknowledged by veteran astronaut Aki Hoshide here in Mission Control, who himself used the Canadarm2 back in 2012 as part of Expedition 32 to capture the one of the original HTV vehicles, the HTV-3. So the work is now complete, with the exception of the maneuvering of the vehicle to its installation and bolting into place later today. The bottom line, a flawless rendezvous. Everything went by the book. All of HTVX's systems performed normally for its capture at 10:58 a.m. Central Time, 11:58 a.m. Eastern Time, as HTVX and the space station flew 260 miles over the South Atlantic. So with that, we will wrap up our coverage for today. Thank you for joining us this morning, and have a good day the rest of this day and in the days to come. This is Mission Control Houston.